Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Millennium TV News. This is Famid Islam with you. Before beginning, let's look at today's top stories. Obama attends congressional baseball game before trade vote. UK growth set for boost as construction data change kick in. Iran nuclear talks virtually stalled. Pope says to visit Africa in November. Kenya's Uhuru Kenyatta urges Africa to give up aid. President Barack Obama apparently held out hope that complimentary White House bear would help a House vote on a major trade bill go down as smoothly as an ice-cold one. Not known to particularly enjoy hobnobbing with anyone, let alone members of Congress, Obama nonetheless made a last-minute call Thursday night and headed to National Park to spend some time schmoozing with lawmakers who suited up for the annual congressional baseball game between Democrats and Republicans. Obama arrived early in the game with his party leading 2-1. He chatted up Democrats, including House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi, before greeting the Republican players. Pelosi and other members of the House Democratic leadership were not in uniform. Fans in the stands behind the Democratic dugout chanted, "4 more years, 4 more years." White spectators seated on the Republican side chanted, "TPA, TPA," a reference to the Trade Promotion Authority that Obama is seeking from Congress. Among the lawmakers wearing baseball uniforms were Republican presidential candidate and Sen. Rand Paul of Kentucky and Republican Sen. Jeff Flake of Arizona. Obama wore slacks and a dress shirt and brought 24 bottles of White House brewed beer for the winning team. The congressional baseball game was established in 1909 and over the years has evolved into a fundraiser benefiting several District of Columbia charities. Britain's economic growth rate last year and in early 2015 looks to have been stronger than previously estimated after the country's Statistics Office revised the way it measured the construction sector. The pace of growth in gross domestic product in 2014 could rise to 2.9% from a previous reading of 2.8% due to the changes in the construction data, National Statistics said. In the first 3 months of 2015, a quarterly GDP growth would be 0.4%, up from a previous estimate of 0.3%, assuming no further changes to data covering other areas of the economy such as a far bigger services sector. A new reading of GDP is due on June 30. Construction makes up 6.4% of Britain's economy. An industry survey published last week showed confidence among construction firms hit a 9-year high in May after Prime Minister David Cameron's Conservative Party won the elections with an unexpected parliamentary majority. The country's economy slowed sharply in the first 3 months of this year. The Bank of England has cited a weaker outlook for house building as a reason for its lower overall growth forecast for Britain's economy. Nuclear talks between Iran and 6 world powers have virtually stalled and a deadline for a final deal may have to be postponed again. Russian news agency TASS quoted a diplomatic source as saying on Friday. Iran and the powers, the United States, Russia, China, France, Britain and Germany are trying to reach a settlement by June 30 under which Iran would curb its nuclear program in exchange for relief from economic sanctions. The United States has said it stands by the end June deadline for the deal, meant to assuage Western fears that Iran is working to develop a nuclear bomb. But other officials have indicated the date might be missed as negotiations about technical details drag on. Iran denies any ambition to develop nuclear weapons and says its program is for generating electricity and other peaceful purposes. The latest round of discussions in Vienna on Friday had made no significant progress, the source from one of the missions said, according to TASS. The process has virtually stalled. There is risk that deadline will have to be postponed again. TASS said the source added among the unresolved issues are the pace of easing Western sanctions imposed over the Iranian program and the monitoring and verification measures to ensure Iran could not pursue a clandestine nuclear weapons program. Pope Francis on Friday said he planned to visit the Central African Republic and Uganda in November and hoped to go to Kenya during his first trip to Africa since becoming Pope. Speaking to a gathering of priests from around Welsh rugby great Gareth Edwards, ex-Williams director Patrick Head and Gary Verite, who brought the Tour de France to Yorkshire, have been knighted in the Queen's birthday honours. England cricketer James Anderson and ex-Chelsea and England footballer Frank Lampard have both become OBEs. Boxing champion Carl Froch is made an MBE, as are distance runner Joe Pavey and England footballer Cassie Stoney. Wheelchair tennis player Jordana Wiley is also appointed an MBE. Where she is part of England's World Cup squad, Stoney said it's huge for women's football. Women in sport don't really get much recognition, so to get recognition in your area of sport, to get recognized for your services to the game is really important, because it's not just about me. It's about the players who played 25 to 30 years ago, who put me in this position to be able to go to a World Cup. A paramilitary soldier has been killed in a clash with airport workers at Kozhikode Airport in India's Kerala state, causing disruption to travel. The incident on Wednesday night took place when an airport worker allegedly snatched the soldier's gun after an altercation and shot at him. Angry airport workers blocked the runway with vehicles after the clash, leading to flights being diverted. India's airports are mainly guarded by paramilitary soldiers. At least 2 airport workers were injured in the clash. Kerala's Home Minister Ramesh Chennithala told that the trouble began when an airport worker tried to enter the airport without showing his security pass to the soldier. Kozhikode is one of the busiest international airports in India. Following the incident, security personnel clashed with airport workers, and the worker who challenged the soldier was also injured. A number of flights coming into Kozhikode were diverted after airport workers blocked the runway with fire service vehicles. Police cleared the runway and the airport became operational ongoing. Pakistan's military says airstrikes have killed 20 suspected militants in a troubled northwestern tribal region near the Afghan border. A statement Saturday said the strikes killed insurgents in the Dattakhil area of North Waziristan. The military gave no other details. The information could not be corroborated, as journalists are barred from the country's tribal areas. North Waziristan was considered the headquarters of Pakistani Taliban until last summer, when the military launched a major offensive there to eliminate local and foreign militants. The army says it has killed over 1,300 militants in North Waziristan since June 2014. It says the security forces have cleared 90% of the region of militants, and a search and cordon operation was underway there. President Tayyip Erdogan's statement-like appeals for Turkey's rival parties to leave egos aside and form a new government may suggest the combative leader has turned over a new leaf. But even those close to him wonder how long it'll last. A masterful tactician who has built a career on playing the political underdog, Erdogan is in a tight corner after the AK party he founded lost its parliamentary majority on Sunday, thwarting for now his ambition of accumulating greater powers. Senior AKP officials from Prime Minister Ahmet Davutoglu down have insisted that the party will exhaust efforts to find a junior coalition partner before a new election is considered. But in private, many view a snap poll as Erdogan's best hope of seeing the party he founded claw back its majority. Erdogan is giving soft messages now and will for a while longer, but we will see whether it continues. One senior AKP official involved in party strategy told Reuters, asking not to be identified after Davutoglu urged officials not to discuss coalition options with the media. Erdogan wants people to see that the option of a coalition won't work. Efforts to form a stable government will truly be pursued, but I don't think they can be realized. I believe an early election is first in the list of scenarios right now. A former reality TV star will become a princess when she marries Sweden's Prince Carl Philip in a lavish ceremony in Stockholm. Sofia Hellqvist, 30, also worked as a topless model and a yoga instructor before helping to set up a charity. Her fiancé, 36-year-old Carl Philip, is third in line to the Swedish throne. Thousands of well-wishers are expected to line the streets for the event, despite polls suggesting the Swedish royal family's popularity is waning. The pair reportedly first met at a restaurant in 2010, with news of their relationship being revealed soon after. The main motorway link between Scotland and England has fully reopened following a tanker fire. Police and fire crews were called to the scene close to Leshmehlow at about 10:30 on Friday after a tanker carrying highly flammable ethanol caught fire. No one was injured as a result of the blaze. The motorway was closed in both directions for several hours with queues of up to 9 miles reported. About 100 firefighters were involved in efforts to extinguish the blaze. Deputy Assistant Chief Officer Paul Connelly from the Scottish Fire and Rescue Service said the nature of the fuel involved in the fire meant it was both intense and very difficult to extinguish. Large volumes of water were deployed from multiple jets, and our crews also conducted several foam strikes to smother the flames. Considerable resources were mobilized from across the west of Scotland to conduct a safe and effective firefighting operation, which has ultimately seen the fire extinguished. He added, "Our crews will remain at the scene over the coming hours while the remaining ethanol is removed from the vehicle." In April 2013, the Rana Plaza building in Bangladesh's capital city collapsed, killing 1,100 garment workers. More than 2,500 were injured. As survivors struggle in the aftermath of the disaster, the Victims' Compensation Fund finally reached its $30 million target last week. Rihanna Akhtar was working on the 7th floor of the Rana Plaza when she felt a strange sensation, like being in an elevator. A huge roaring sound erupted. Darkness fell over the garment factory where the 24-year-old worked. People started to run and scream. Rihanna fell, her leg twisted beneath a concrete column. Nearly 12 hours later, she was rescued from the rubble. Rihanna's leg was crushed, and 6 days later it was amputated above the knee. The collapse of the 8-story Rana Plaza was the world's worst garment factory disaster. A pledge from an anonymous donor announced last week completed $30 million Rana Plaza Donor Trust. The voluntary fund includes donations from international clothing companies, the Bangladeshi government, and others. It was established by the International Labour Organization (ILO) last year to compensate survivors and families of the deceased. The Compensation Committee gave an update in April on the second anniversary of the collapse. At that point, more than $27 million had been raised and 70% of compensation paid to some 2,800 people. England striker Wayne Rooney moved within one goal of equaling their all-time scoring record when his late goal secured a 3-2 win in Slovenia and kept up the Group E leaders' 100% record in Euro 2016 qualifying on Sunday. Jack Wilshere earlier twice smashed the ball into the top corner from outside the area. His first international goals as England moved within touching distance of the finals in France with 18 points from 6 Group E games, 9 above second-placed Slovenia. Milivoje Novakovic had coolly given the hosts a 37th-minute lead after a series of England errors, and Nejpeknik made it 2-2 late on before a defensive howler set up Rooney for his 48th England goal, one behind record holder Bobby Charlton. Bangladesh Shakib Al Hasan completed the grand double of 2,000 runs and 100 wickets on home soil during his brief innings of 9 on Sunday, the 5th and final day of Fatullah Test against India. He became only the 7th all-rounder in the world to score 2,000 runs and take 100 wickets in a particular country. Interestingly, Shakib achieved both the milestones in the Fatullah Test. His wicket of Shikhar Dhawan on day 3 was his 100th scalp in Bangladesh, and on Sunday he completed 2,000 runs. What has been his contribution to Bangladesh cricket can be gauged from the fact that no other batsman has scored 2,000 runs for Bangladesh in Bangladesh, and no other bowler has taken 100 wickets for Bangladesh in his native country. Before ending, let's look at today's top stories again. Obama attends congressional baseball game before trade vote. UK growth set for boost as construction data change kick in. Iran nuclear talks virtually stalled. Pope says to visit Africa in November. Kenya's Uhuru Kenyatta urges Africa to give up aid. You're up to date with our top stories so far here on Millennium TV, and don't forget to log in www.millenniumtv.net. Thank you for staying with us. Allah Hafiz.